Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Braumiller Law Group and Braumiller Consulting Group. Hey everybody, this is Bob Brewer with Braumiller Law Group, Braumiller Consulting Group. Welcome to the podcast. Today, returning is James Holbein, our counsel in Washington, DC. And as you may recall, last time James and I were speaking about all this Web 3.0 and blockchain and DAOs and all that. Sam Bankman-Fried was getting fried. And that was about the, if you want to go back and revisit that, though. We've got some new biz, and wow, Jim and Justin Holbein just wrote an article on this where Wyoming is actually trying to become the Delaware of DAOs. And the article, I mean, what'd you write? It was a 25-page article, I think, Jim, something like that.
Yeah. No, that's going to be our book. I mean, that's
your book. Okay. So he could actually write a book on this.
We're starting.
So he's been writing with the firm about this. Yeah, he's our tech guru here on all this Web 3.0. But so the article was really based on, this is amazing to me, that Wyoming, of all the states in the union, is really, really pushing for this, that they've passed this decentralized, unincorporated nonprofit association, DUNA, to try to make everything work with these nonprofits, with legal recognition and everything that allows blockchain to actually exist and these organizations to be robust and transparent and all that. And Jim's going to kind of give us a lowdown on all this, but he's been writing on blockchain and digital asset issues since 2021 with us. And I want to know, tell us what you think is on the horizon right now with this, because like I said, it's amazing what Wyoming is doing.
Well, look, Wyoming is, and other states too, but Wyoming led the charge. They were the first state in the country to have an LLC law, limited liability corporation law. And that was a really transforming development, particularly for small companies. It really made a difference to be able to protect a small company and give them the same limited liability that big corporations have. And so that was the first step, and that was a century ago. Now they came up with the first law on decentralized autonomous organizations. And what they are is they're on blockchain. They're blockchain based companies. They have tokens within the system to allow for transfers of information, of payments, of all sorts of things, to simplify things. And the intention is that they're an alternative type of organization, just like LLCs are an alternative to big corporations. The DAOs are an alternative to hierarchical managed organizations that are typical now throughout the economy. These are decentralized. People can be all over, and they actually are very well suited for the kind of economy that's emerged, particularly since the pandemic. We've been able to remote work for a long time. Now we can have remote companies with people all over, members all over, and they don't require management by a specific, a hierarchical, the CEO and all the rest. They're more managed either by a smart contract protocol that just allows for transfers of exchanges or whatever information it is you're trying to change and payment you're trying to make. It's done automatically under the smart contract. Or they have a guild or a group that do sort of the administrative work of governance for the organization, but they're not running it and making all the decisions for everybody else. The decisions are made through voting. Okay, so what's on the horizon? There has been, as we've talked about before, Bob, there's a real regulatory problem. The SEC, because there's no law in the United States and no real regulation to deal with this kind of decentralized organization, without a manager, without a direct, somebody to point the finger at and say, you're the cause of the problem, you're the blame. It makes it very hard for the regulatory authorities set up on a centralized model, a hierarchical model, to regulate this stuff. So the SEC has been regulating through litigation for a long time. And that's starting to kind of work its way through. And they got rid of a lot of fraudsters because these are new organizations, a lot of fraud in the cryptocurrency area.
Oh, yeah.
But all crypto is not tokens, and all tokens are not cryptos, nor are all tokens securities. So there's got to be some definitions, and that's where a new law will help. Well, both political parties are more or less turning their attention, or at least are making noises in the campaign, that cryptocurrency, there are going to be some kind of legislation next year. I don't think it's going to be the first thing that the new Congress takes up, but I think it's something that's coming. It's been coming for a long time. Blockchain is an important new technology. It's not as ubiquitous as AI right now, but it will be. And so what I see is that the steps that Wyoming is taking to be open to these blockchain-oriented organizations, these DAOs, that is going to pay off for them and for a lot of companies that want to do business in this country and be recognized legally and be able to safely do business and work out under a new law with the regulations that will come from it, how to do business in this arena and give us an innovative way to work together, which is what really the blockchain thing allows it to do. So what do I see? I see this as a big step forward to help us to get to the point where this becomes more normalized within the economy.
Well, that's why I guess the new law in Wyoming is so important then, right?
Yeah, it's critical. And the new law is the Decentralized Unincorporated Nonprofit Association Act, DUNA, is about, now they've extended it. Before, their law was about LLCs effectively. It allowed you to set up a DAO LLC. Now you can set up a DAO nonprofit and a charity. It's got to be something for a charitable, educational, religious, scientific purpose. There's got to be something in the organization that's what's really being fostered. And so that is a fairly important step because it'll allow transfers of tokens into, or money into, the organization for charitable purposes. It'll allow the community of users, the members, and there's got to be over 100 members in any one of these associations, to then select and set up a protocol for how the money will be distributed, and then give them mechanisms and incentives to get that money or those donations or those goods, however it's going to be done. I mean, you could use an organization like this to collect, for example, emergency supplies to send down to hurricane relief or fire relief or something like that. This would be another mechanism to enable very dispersed groups to work together to gather goods, gather information, gather money to help out in things like hurricane relief, charitable work.
So how would a nonprofit, though, deal with donors, like using cryptocurrencies?
Well, then what they've done in a lot of DAOs is they have a guild, they call it, or a governance body that either the members, or they work together and they select a group that essentially it's a volunteer group, and they set up the protocols for how do we take votes, how do we do this, and then how is the actual money administered and distributed. And so it while not a centrally managed organization, there will need to be some offline management of, if you're collecting water, flats of water, and you're going to send pallets of water down to a hurricane. Well, you got to have some people doing that. It can't all be done automatically by the smart contract, but they arrange for how that will be done. And the rules.
Can they convert, though, Jim? Can they convert these cryptos to dollars to pay these recipients?
Yes, and one of the mechanisms for these nonprofits will be platforms, exchange platforms. Right now, they're for-profit and they're in other countries. They're not here. But if we're allowed to form them in the United States legally and they have legal identity, then they would be here and able to collect donations in dollars, convert them if necessary to the tokens that are used within the system, or just put them in a treasury. You could have a dollar treasury and a token treasury even. And there would just have to be really good accounting protocols as to how that's managed that are transparent to the members and to whoever regulators that we're going to do. It isn't particularly complicated or difficult to do. It's just a different way of approaching the same kind of problem we often have.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. Last time we spoke on this, it was around the Sam Bankman-Fried getting fried. And, he got 25 years. How cleaned up has this become since then, if at all?
Well, I'll tell you what. It appears to me there's very little incentive for the fraudsters to be in crypto right now. There isn't.
Well, he got 25 years.
Well,
right?
What's that? Yeah,
Didn't he get 25 years?
And even the young lady who was like his closest
Girlfriend.
girlfriend, I think she got 4 years, and she kind of rolled over on him and gave him up. So
That's why she only got 4 years.
yeah, exactly. But still, 4 years. That's a long
Well,
time to be out of circulation, I tell you.
well, it ought to put the scare into the fraudsters, I would think.
And there's not as much financial incentive because the SEC's cracking down. They're being, their regulation by enforcement did work for a limited extent. It's too heavy a club to use, but it's the only club they had. It's the only tool they had. So then they chased a lot of the folks away. Thank God. I mean, that was the problem. Crypto was like a gambling thing. It's not healthy. It isn't a healthy way to do it, and it's not necessarily tokens that are within the system that allow the transactional work and the stuff, the payments and everything else to work in the system aren't necessarily securities that need to be sold on the outside. They can be handled internally. So a lot of this crypto stuff they're just trying to get money for whatever purpose, and they're using it as a crowdfunding mechanism that isn't effective and didn't have guardrails. There's other ways to approach that, and regulation can help with that. That's what I'm for. I want better regulation of the sector to keep the fraudsters out. They're gone pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have all these notes in front of me on this. I mean, we could go on forever now. This goes back. I want to remind some people that you and your son, Justin, who helped you write this article on Wyoming, he's a good writer as well. Pick it up, by the way, kids. It's released in the recent newsletter, October newsletter, Jim and Justin's article on this very topic. Because, Jim, we could probably go on with volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this and getting into all the Web3. Why do you, I'm just curious, why do you continue to support all this right now, knowing where we are with all this gray area? What's up there? What's up there?
Well, it goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. I've thought for some time that this offers an alternative way of organizing work, and you don't need a big central hierarchical organization necessarily to do what needs to be done to have a viable business, to have a viable charity. You can run things on a more dispersed way. And this offers a lot more power to the members of the organization to participate. Now, not everybody wants to do that. A lot of people want to just throw money at something and then forget about it and say, okay, I trust them. That also works in these organizations. And I think that I've thought since 2015 or 2016 that this would become regulated at some point. And I was pretty hopeful in 2021 that we were getting there, and then it just didn't happen yet. But it will. This is a technology. It took 30 years for the full adoption of cell phone usage. It took 25 years for full adoption of email. Well, blockchain came about in 2008. And 20 years is about 2028. 25 is 2033. For blockchain technology to be fully incorporated as a usable tool and a usable technology for companies to do business, it's going to be a little later this century or this decade. And so I'm in it for the longer haul as long as I can to support this. I think it's a good innovation. I really have been supportive since the beginning. Justin convinced me. He's the technical side of our articles, and I'm the legal side. And I can see.
I thought you were. That's a good combo there, the legal side and the technical side.
Well, yeah, and I mean he's got a real future in Web3. He's a really good, smart young guy, and he's been right about this as we've been working together. So. I just think it's something that's worth doing. I think that organizing yourselves on a dispersed way as an alternative to central hierarchical organization, blockchain enables network effects and if it's open source, it's kind of an open protocol. It allows a lot of more people to get into and do things with it than they could possibly do if they have to incorporate and be a bigger company beyond a small LLC. I mean, this offers a better way or a different way that's much more open to people who don't have tons and tons of capital. And that's the distinction, that the corporate capitalism is a little different than actual capitalism at the ground roots. This is more of a ground roots type of technology, and I support that. I want to help foster that.
Gotcha. Well, I want to always, me, Jim, I want to stay within that 15-minute increment of getting these out there. So you got like 18 seconds left. Anything upcoming that we should look for outside of your article recently on Wyoming and DUNA?
Well, actually, yeah, next year, Justin and I are already, we've got a lot of pages on
You
a
do?
book. We're thinking about a book, and it's
Wow.
what it's going to be. It's on the blockchain sector, and how it's going to take shape, I'm not quite sure yet, but we're working on it. So that I'm hoping to have next year. Thank you.
So Jim and Justin are writing a book. This is all Web3. This is everything. This is blockchain. This is DAOs. This is crypto. This is right. You guys are going to delve into everything.
I hope. Maybe we do several pieces. I mean, we may write several small books. We're still working out exactly what we're doing, but we're in the process. We're going to continue writing, and we're going to try to have a stronger voice as the legislation is shaped going forward. I hope we can have an influence on that for the good, for the help, really a helpful voice to get this done right.
Absolutely, because a lot of this stuff, I mean, all these notes I have, I mean, this stuff still goes a little bit over my head. I got to admit, I got to keep rewriting. I got to go back. What the hell exactly is a DAO? What are we talking about here? Anyway, so I'll try to keep up.
I get it. I do, because I've had to, it's taken me a long, I know we're over our time, but it's taken me a long time to come to understand it. That's one of the biggest problems with blockchain and crypto is.
I think that's a scare with people. Like, I don't even know what a DAO is. I don't want to go down that road. The eyes roll up in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Everybody read the article. Like I said, it's out with the October newsletter. I mean, if you got any questions, Jim, obviously, James at Braumiller.com, fire it off to him. Please. No problem with that. Diving into it. All right, well, everybody, that's our time for today for this podcast, and I appreciate you, Jim, stopping in.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.